Well, my friends, gentle listeners, I wish I could tell you that our story ends happily right here. I wish I could tell you how our beloved Toymaker took his final onstage bow amid thousands of adoring fans before riding off into the sunset as the creative champion he was. While all the above is true, our story, sadly, cannot end as it stands. It is now October 30th, and while the town prepares for tomorrow's Halloween festival, one opinion writer for the Green Hill Gazette is about to set in motion a chain of events that will find themselves placed alongside the most notorious Halloweens Green Hill Point has ever endured. His name, as insignificant as it sounds, was Harold J. Forsyth, which, quite frankly, is only important because of his involvement in our particular story. What you must know, however, was that the man was an idiot, a first-class gasbag, a fool, an utter imbecile. He was a complete and utter waste of, well, you get the idea. For insight into the fabric of his character, let me tell you about the time that he once published a review of an elementary school play, which he described as trite. Oh, did I mention that his 7-year-old niece was the lead actress in said play? Yes, you get the idea about Mr. Harold J. Forsyth, a true salt-of-the-earth type of guy if ever there was one. He was a hack, a lazy writer, an idiot, a twit, a moron, a numbskull. But I digress. Often. Anyway, that morning, that fateful morning, Mr. Forsyth published an opinion piece in the Green Hill Gazette entitled, quote, "Curtains for a Tired Routine," unquote. And, quite frankly, I find the entirety of the article to be distasteful and mean-spirited, my friends, so I'll only read you some of the most salient points. In it, he says, and I quote, "While attending last night's final performance of No Strings Attached, I couldn't help but wonder how a show so outdated and, frankly, unoriginal has managed to last this long amidst the far superior offerings at Green Hill Manor, yada yada. In a park where there exists wonder around every corner, this show stands out like the sore thumb it is." Let's see, he went on to say, and I quote, "I personally observed at least a dozen children who were fidgeting and obviously bored throughout the show, yada yada yada. Yes, here. I made a point of interviewing some of them as they exited the pavilion. I asked Jack Curtis, age 11. 11. Can you believe this? He's talking to an 11-year-old. As he walked out with his parents, what he thought of No Strings Attached. His response? I don't know. My dad liked that old show from the 40s that those puppets were from. But maybe it is time for something new here. I also spoke to Janice Weatherby, age 9, who said that she's more excited about the new dance of the jack-o'-lanterns. An original stage show sets a debut tomorrow evening at Green Hill Manor." End quote. So, I see Mr. Forsyth wasn't content with only using children as targets for his inane rambling. Now he's using them as his weapons as well. Isn't that right, Mr. Forsyth? Anyway, he continued, and I quote, "While I must admit that the illusion of puppets without strings is still convincing, a parlor trick alone is not enough to justify this tired and antiquated show which belongs in the same decade as the television show that spawned it. Or, put another way, and now I'm writing to you directly, Mr. Toymaker, just as your marionettes could stand and move without being held by string, so too was your ancient and tired show. Only it was being held up by the false pretenses that somehow had it considered in the same category as high art. Good riddance. End quote. I must say, I really don't like this